Chris Sarandon playing Jerry Dandridge, the biggest swinging vampire ever. This man is like bleeding 80s suave. It's ridiculous. The man's got a light gray leather trench coat that he flings around like a cape.
His best come hither outfit. He turns himself into a fart in an alley. Which apparently
that's a vampire power, John.
Yeah, you can turn yourself into sexy mist.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Wilscroft.
Welcome to the Psycho Show, for real.
Welcome to Fright Night, for real. Welcome back, John. We missed you because you weren't here for a week.
I know. I was searching the Galapagos Islands.
I would have been convinced that you might have accidentally ran into, say, your next door neighbor who might have been a vampire and seen him picking up prostitutes and drinking their blood and got swooped up and all of that stuff.
He gets a lot of ladies, but I don't think it's because he has fangs.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, this week we are continuing spooky season, of course, and we are starting, more of a contemporary film. Well, not more contemporary film, older film. Jesus, it's actually
it's old like us.
Yeah, dude, it's 40 years old. It's the 40th anniversary of Fright Night, and I gotta tell you, this is in my top echelon of vampire films. I love this one for a lot of reasons. And when I was looking for reviews for this one, which we'll get to in the back half of the episode, I was surprised that vast majority of people also love this, but there's also a secret subsection of people that really just don't get it. and I don't understand those people at all. I really don't.
I have a sneaking suspicion, and dear listeners and viewers, I almost accidentally saw one because when Brian brought me in, I saw that they were up, and I did block my eye, so I didn't see them. But I have a feeling that they're younger. I think the more decades you get separated from something, the more times you just I don't get it. This movie is very 80s.
It's very 80s.
And even something as simple as outside of Svengali and Joe Bob Briggs, if you have Shudder, the whole horror Fright Night host thing and the Friday Night Frights is kind of gone passe.
I mean, a little bit. I think it is. I think it has hit a bit of a resurgence as of late because of streaming. I mean, I've seen on YouTube horror hosts that are now doing streaming things literally every a Friday. There's one of them that I know of that I see all the time, pops up on my browse on YouTube, and it is The Mummy and the Monkey. Is one that no joke, literally that's the name of their channel, and they do a live stream horror host deal. So I don't think it's necessarily dead, but I think in the age of TikTok and of course the age of 6-7, don't ask me how I know that. This is goddamn kids. But in that age, there is a little bit of truth to the whole idea that the horror host isn't as understood or respected as it used to be.
Oh, the mediums, they are changing.
They are. Well, John, let me ask you this: when was the first time that you saw Fright Night? Because I know for me when I first saw it, but I'm curious when was this your first time seeing it, or had you seen it previously?
Oh, God, no. I was around 11, 12, or 13, and it was one of those classic. If you're the older aging millennials like Brian and I, go into the video store and seeing cover art and being what the hell is this? There's this spooky cloud with a face over top of this building, and then you check the back of the box and the premise connects with you, and so yeah, that was the first time I saw it. And then, as a shameless plug, I rewatched it in preparation for my interview with the director of this film, Tom Holland.
That's right. I forgot you interviewed Tom Holland for your channel, J-Dub's Video Nasties, which you should absolutely be subscribing to after you listen to this episode. Like, listen to this episode first, then go and subscribe to J-Dub's Video Nasties. Or maybe while you're listening to it, you've got your phone open and you're not on YouTube, and you just want to swipe right over and just click subscribe. Do John a favor. Do
it. Yeah. And we're talking the director, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's important to make that distinction. Again, the young people will only hear Spider-Man. So they'll be like, why was Spider-Man directing a vampire movie in 1985?
When he was -12 or something.
Yeah, when he was -12. When he was just a glint in his daddy's eye. Why was he doing that? I don't know. But for me, like, this was one of those movies that I discovered later. Like, I discovered this one, I think, when I was in my teens. And it wasn't one that I found on the video store. This was going back, and I've brought this up a couple times. I discovered a lot of horror movies through HBO and Showtime and Cinemax. And this was one of those ones that I discovered through that. And it was always one where, like, I would catch it right in the middle, like right in smack dab in the middle of the movie. And I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? So it wasn't until, years later from that first viewing, when I must have been like at least 13 or 14 when I first saw it, that I actually watched the full thing, because I always would catch it like right smack dab in the middle of the movie. But yeah, Fright Night is a fucking trip if you haven't seen it. And what is point of contention? We are not talking about the remake. Okay. The Colin Farrell remake.
He said, I made it because I needed money. He just doesn't lie about it. Yeah.
That's fine. I actually don't hate the remake as much as some other people do. And that's mainly because the fact that Peter Vincent is played by David Tennant, who is the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Oh, but there are many doctors, Brian.
There are, but David Tennant's my favorite.
I think most people say that, yeah.
No. It depends. This isn't a Doctor Who podcast, John. If I had to give you the whole knowledge and idea of how the Whoniverse works and how some people really are attached to certain doctors and some people aren't. Not everyone is attached to David Tennant. Me, I am. My wife, she likes David Tennant. She also likes Matt Smith a good bit too.
Tune in for more Doctor Who cast episodes.
Yeah, Doctor Who cast.
Spotify and wherever you
Yeah. But we're not talking about the remake. We're talking about the 1985 classic. And if you've never seen it before, here's kind of the little IMDb deal that I'm going to read off for you because I did not write this down myself. So, Fright Night sees a teenager believing that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. He turns to an actor in a television-hosted horror movie show for help to deal with the undead. And let me tell you something, folks, that description really leaves out a lot. It leaves out the statutory rape. It leaves out the pressuring of the teenage boy on another woman to have sex. It leaves out Evil Ed. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Kid ignores boner to look out window. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if that sounds all that good.
All right. So John, let's open this movie up here. Okay, I think it's worth opening it up here. So this movie opens up with our hero, Charlie, played by forgettable face, but you've probably seen him before, William Ragsdale. Also known as that guy in Mannequin 2, On the Move.
Mannequin 2, God.
Yeah,
damn.
Mannequin 2. Yeah. I've seen that guy before. Yes, that guy, William Ragsdale, plays Charlie Brewster, and he's in the middle of making out with his girlfriend, played by Married with Children star Amanda Bierce. And he literally cock blocks himself.
Yeah. At first she's like, I don't know. And he's like, oh.
And he pressures her. He totally come on. We've been going, John, for a year.
Yeah.
I've got a year's worth of blue balls come on, Amanda Bierce.
But of course she's like, well, Okay, you talked me into it. I'll
Well,
even do my ping pong ball trick.
Well,
and he's
like-
like, what was that?
Well,
Did I hear
like,
something out the
dude,
window?
dude, he pressures her, and you can tell that, like, Amy, her name is Amy, by the way, in this, not Amanda Beer, so I'm not gonna call her by her actor name. But like, Amy is totally like, I don't want to do this. I'm not really comfortable. And because she's like being pressured by Charlie, she decides to like slowly get undressed, get in the bed, and he's just like enamored by his weirdo neighbors that are moving a coffin next door.
I mean, there's something you don't see every day.
It's something you don't see every day, but like, I'm sorry. I don't know if my priorities would be look out the window at the coffin.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, yeah, on the bed, you look out the coffin. Like it and of course she gets pissed off. One, because she got pressured into that shit by douchebag Charlie. I don't like Charlie, by the way, in this movie. I really don't. I get that right out of the way. But he's pressured into him.
Well, he's a product of a, so he's a product of a character written in Ronald Reagan's America by somebody who grew up in like the 50s and 60s.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. But yeah, so Amy gets pissed off. She runs out the door, and I find it hilarious. And I don't know if you, John, if you picked this up, like they immediately start having an argument about having sex in front of Charlie's mom.
She's a single mom, she's just like, she's probably a little more open. That happens when you're the product of divorce. It's like, well, I need to be the fun mom.
Well, she's kind of oblivious. Like the mom is kind of oblivious. She's like, oh, what are you guys having, a lover's spat? Yeah. It's like, no, dude, your son pressured me into having sex. I didn't want to do it. I felt obligated to do it. Then he clearly ghosted me on that, leaving me vulnerable to go look outside the window at neighbors moving maybe a coffin. But no, so it basically sets up that Charlie sucks and Amy's too good for him. And we then get this very, quintessential high school setting. We meet Evil Ed.
Well, Brian, you're leaving out that while
what am I leaving out?
When he's trying to get lucky on the TV is the Friday Night Frights with Peter Vincent.
Yes, I am forgetting that. So, playing on the TV in this town is either two different stations. There's either the news reporting about murders, or there is Fright Night.
It is 1985. There probably is only like 3 channels. Maybe
there's
you
only
got and then the public access channel. Yeah.
Yeah. The public access channel would have the woman who's doing aerobics in a chair. Yeah. But yeah. So Peter Vincent, vampire killer, who is basically a caricature of, I would say, every Hammer film hero. So like if you go back to like the 50s and 60s and 70s Hammer films, all the gothic castles that were made out of cardboard, those sort of people, it's definitely pulling from that.
Well, his name alone, Peter Vincent, pulling from Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Yeah.
Yes. So it's totally like, what if Peter Cushing was actually a vampire killer, and then he, lost all of the ability to act and only can get work doing basically an Elvira knockoff. Yeah. Minus the Elvira part. But yeah, that's the only thing playing, and he's kind of obsessed with horror movies and obsessed with Peter Vincent, because that's all he watches all the time. But we kind of, after this whole lover spat thing happens, we cut to high school. We realize that Charlie kind of sucks at trigonometry, which
who doesn't?
Go figure. Who doesn't? I don't even think I took trigonometry.
I didn't either. Yeah. I was like, why fail?
They were just like, oh, you want to go into film? You don't need math.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need the math. You don't need it. But yeah, so we meet Evil Ed, played by Stephen Jeffries. And let me tell you something. You either love Evil Ed or you hate Evil Ed. John, what's your take? Do you love or hate Evil Ed?
Well, I always love a talking horse. Oh wait, that's Mr. Ed. No.
You love a talking horse.
No, it's the direction that he's given. You know, he's supposed to be as over the top, I think, to kind of, but it's kind of signaling where he's going as a character. So I don't mind him. I think he's right on the cusp of like unspeakably grating and mildly charming. So it doesn't pull me out. He just seems like he's that dorky friend character, you know, like that neighbor boner on, what is it, Family Ties or whatever that show was.
Yeah, I mean, every 80s movie that had teens had this character.
Yeah.
You know, like literally every single one. You just look down the line and I could point to you the cast and be like, oh yes, that is the character. Revenge of the Nerds, it's Booger. Booger's that character. Okay, it's kind of it goes with the territory. If you're gonna make a teen anything, you've got to have that character that you either hate or you love or you want to punch in the face. Okay, I like Evil Ed. I think he's fucking hilarious. I don't quite get though why he's called evil.
Because he likes horror movies.
That's not good enough. Like one, it's never explicitly said that he likes horror movies. It's implied, but like there's never a moment in the movie where like we get a moment where Evil Ed actually is like obsessed with horror movies. You know how like I'm thinking in Salem's Lot, you get those moments where that one kid who's like obsessed with monsters and shit, you see his room and it's all the monster shit. We don't ever get that in this. It's just, oh yes, Evil Ed, he's a weirdo who is also really smart because he has no problems with trigonometry. But he's also obsessed with horror movies.
I guess like Spooky Ed doesn't have alliteration, although he doesn't really have great alliteration. Yes, it is, but like, you know, it's not as good as like, you know, Pumpkin Peter, you know, or something like that. Really, those hard P's that hit, you know, but
yeah. But I mean, it's a thing where I was just like, we never really see that Evil Ed is that. And he does kind of come off grating. I just said, I don't have a problem with him. But you know, he's kind of the goofy sidekick who just rubs into Charlie's face that he is so cool, Brewster. You're so cool, Brewster. So, you know, after the high school kind of lets out, Charlie goes back home and he sees a pretty lady going into his neighbor's house.
Which, by the way, who orders a hooker at like 3:45 in the afternoon? Unless you're Charlie Sheen.
A vampire does, apparently.
He's like not even awake yet.
It's like DoorDash, John. Okay, he's planning his DoorDash, and maybe he got a double dash. Okay, you know, like maybe he got like, you know, 2 for the price of 1 or something like that, or it's like, you know, yeah, his buddy Billy Cole, who we don't exactly know what the hell he is. If he's a vampire, human, ghoul, zombie, we don't know. Maybe he's like getting the pizza and it's a side of prostitute.
Well, I mean, like Jerry, our vampire, is not even awake yet. It's like, you know, she's got to be welcome in and be like, please help yourself to some meatball hoagies and scotch. Master won't be awake for 7:30. He's down in the basement.
we have the little cocktail weenies. Yeah. And they're still good. They're from last night. Yeah. From the prostitute we got last night.
You know, it's like little sandwiches on the pumpernickel bread you never get anywhere outside of parties.
Yes, exactly. It's pigs in a blanket, but they've just been sitting out for a day. Because again, we don't know if Billy Cole is a human or not. Like, he might not know etiquette when it comes to entertaining company, let alone prostitutes.
Yeah, and this movie, like, he's set up to be our main vampire, the character we're talking about. Like, what we think is his familiar, which in vampire lore is like a human that they kind of possess to do basically their daily chores while they're sleeping. But later on in the movie, we will second guess that, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So Charlie is kind of enamored by the prostitute going into Jerry's house, and it isn't until later, because there's only 2 channels in this town. He happens to stumble upon the news, and it's at a time when like Amy is like trying to like mend things with him, and he just happens to look up at the news and like lose his shit because he realizes that the missing person on the news is the prostitute who he saw literally a day ago. So he's putting 2 and 2 together that like, oh God, something's happening.
Coffins, screams, hookers. Oh my. Yeah.
Yes. And so he starts to like creep on Jerry's place in the most Rear Window-esque way, because this movie very much feels like Rear Window, but with vampires.
Yeah.
I
mean, this whole movie is kind of meta contemptual when you say it's like, somebody who grew up watching, vampire movies who said, well, what if I was watching a vampire movie and a vampire movie happened to me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it has some meta elements to it. And I actually was thinking about that because like we've talked a bit about how like I despise Scream because it's very meta when it comes to the slasher genre, but you could very much make the argument that Fright Night is a meta version of the Hammer films, right?
Yeah.
Like it is pretty much that. And I don't think that's not wrong. It's probably a very accurate depiction of it.
Well, that's what Tom Holland said in my interview. Check it out over at Jada's Video Nasties. But no, he said like, he thought to himself, what if, you were a kid watching the Friday Night Frights and all of a sudden you looked out the window to see somebody chomping down on a beautiful half naked girl, and he hadn't directed anything yet and he couldn't get this idea out of his mind. So he wrote it and made it his directorial debut. And that's, how we got here to Fright Night.
Which I'm glad it leads to the moment where, yes, Charlie does see a half naked woman being bitten by the vampire played by
Jack Skellington.
Yes, actually, John is not being facetious. He really is Jack Skellington. Chris Sarandon playing Jerry Dandridge, the biggest dick swinging vampire ever. This man is like bleeding 80s suave. It's ridiculous.
Which I find as a refresher, because usually in vampire movies, like when they come off suave, like they seemed like other timely, which they usually are, because it's supposed to be hundreds of years ago in a castle in Transylvania. And like Bela Lugosi, for example, is doing his best to be like suave and sexy and debonair, but it just kind of comes off odd where, like, man, Sarandon here just oozes big dick energy every time he's on camera.
Yeah, it quite literally is like, he's like, yes, I'm going to not be the vampires that preceded me. Like, it's one of those things where like he clearly keeps up with, and I'm talking about inside of the world of the movie. Like, he's aware of the tropes of vampires because he's probably seen movies. He even says like, I find your movies, Peter Vincent, very amusing, because he's aware of it. He knows that there's this weird tropes when it comes to vampires, and he's like going to be the exact opposite. And he just comes off as like the, the best dressed vampire who can charm the pants off of anyone.
Ladies, bring an extra pair of underwear if you're going to be in the same room.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry is no nonsense when it comes to that. Like, Charlie's mom wants a piece of him. Later, Amy gets a piece of him. Which
she doesn't have much of a choice.
Well, that's real problematic. Especially we consider that she's a high schooler. Yeah, there's some things. There's some things wrong with this movie when it comes to that. But yes, getting back to the point here, Charlie kind of sees this and it, automatically puts a target on Charlie's back. And we get a really cool moment where Charlie goes to the police, and it's always one of those things where you always ask yourself the question in these movies, like, why doesn't anyone go to the police?
Yeah.
If it's whether it's vampire or not, like if you say, hey, this person went into this house, got murdered, and now they're no longer there, and I saw this, like, what you always see, you never see that happen, right? You never see them actually go through with it. But Charlie goes through with it and gets a detective to go to the house, and the detective basically like dismisses him right off the bat the minute that Charlie lets loose that he's like, yes, he's a vampire. It's like, dude, you should have just shut up. Right.
Well, yeah, he can't help himself because he should have just said, I've been hearing strange things like they're going into the basement. He wouldn't have to explain that, because like how would he hear that? But just that would have actually maybe caused the police officer to want to go check the crypt, aka the cellar. But no, it's if you lead with I think he's a vampire, you're gonna lose all of your clout there.
Yeah, he could have just said, like, I heard screaming coming from the basement. Period.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been enough for someone to go down in the basement. Now, granted, Jerry would have probably ripped out their throats. Or Billy Cole. Because that's going to happen. But it's funny that Charlie is his own worst enemy in this case.
It really does seem like that these two are gay lovers. Like
I saw that pop up in a couple reviews. Like they said, like, oh, were they gay? It's like, I don't know. I never really thought of it that way.
Vampires they're predators, so I don't think they have like necessarily, depends on your lore, like a particular sexuality. Like if they are truly like destructive vampires, it doesn't matter as long as they can, hurt and feast. But it does kind of like, as a police officer, I'd be like, this guy's missing here. The strange, like loud sexual noise in the middle of the night. And there's this other guy like covering for him, like his roommate, so.
Yes. It's his roommate who does, some sort of carpentry work.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I run the chores for him and he takes very good care of me.
Yes. He has said he will promise me lives, small lives, but not big lives. He's, by the way, is that a cockroach? Because I would like to eat that very much right now. He is kind of a Renfield type of character.
Yeah.
Although he's more effective than Renfield ever was. Like Renfield is kind of a loser when it comes to like protecting Dracula, whereas Billy Cole actually like has no problem doing all of the dirty work and then some for Jerry.
Yeah, he's a lot more.
Well, it's a lot more
well put
dependable.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this whole incident with the detective kind of, puts even more emphasis on Jerry trying to take care of Charlie. So what ends up happening is probably the most awkward meeting between Charlie's mom and Jerry and Charlie. And
Charlie goes to Evil Ed and he's like, hey, what do you know about vampires? Like, give me $8. And gives him like 3 pieces of information, but he's like, hey, don't worry, there's one other thing. They can't come in unless you invite them. And he's like, oh, sweet. I'm completely covered. And then his mom just goes, yeah, get your sexy ass in here, Jack.
It's again, his mom is kind of the worst and just aloof as all fuck. Like just absolutely aloof, has no idea what the fuck she's doing. She just looks at Jerry and says, that's a nice piece of ass that lives next door.
Yeah. I'm a single woman ready to mingle. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I get it. But, he did just move in next door. Your son's kind of weirded out by him. Maybe don't invite him in. But yeah, this gives permission for Jerry to basically threaten his life. And he like really beats the shit out of Charlie, like throws him into his closet. He flings up the window seal and causes it to have spikes. Like the nails start ripping through the wood. Yeah, he's ready to fucking kill him.
Yeah. Oh, I think that was because he was trying to nail his window shut before he knew that.
Yes.
Yeah, he couldn't get in. But I also love that it's like they're whispering because mom's asleep in the other room. Yeah, and then he fucking like arm drags him through his goddamn closet.
I love the fact that it's never addressed that Charlie's room is totally fucking destroyed by Jerry.
No.
Like I don't know about you, John, but like when I was a kid, if my closet door was demolished, if my walls were busted in, if my window had been destroyed and had like, spikes, I wouldn't have like the grace period of 48 hours like Charlie does, where Charlie literally has, 48 hours and no one says a damn thing at all about this. Mom doesn't say anything. I'm just like, is she just on Valium the whole time? Like, is that it?
Yeah, like in Beetlejuice, like maybe mom's sleeping with Prince Valium.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Charlie's mom offers him a Valium after he has like after Jerry leaves because she thinks that he's had a nightmare, even though she doesn't notice that her door is completely mashed in because Jerry wanted to make sure that she didn't escape and interrupt his murdering of her son. But yeah, it is very weird that it's never addressed. But hey, this kind of leads to Jerry threatening Charlie with the fact that he's going to kill him in 24 hours. Like he said, I destroyed your car and I'm going to kill you tomorrow. Like, you're going to do it.
The ticking clock of screenwriting. Just kill him now.
Yes. And he kind of like loses his mind and does what I honestly think I would do in that situation, which is make my room kind of full of holy relics and shit and sharpen a whole bunch of stakes. Like, I think if I was in that situation, 100% I'd do exactly what Charlie did.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a Meatloaf music video, lots of candles.
Something like that. Yeah. Lots of candles, lots of crosses. It's worth noting that we'll find out that the crosses don't work exactly the same way as they do in the movies, which, okay, I buy it. But yeah, I mean, he, kind of prepares himself to be killed because he knows that he's going up against a vampire. His friends, Evil Ed and Amy, though, think he's losing his fucking mind.
Understandable.
So they go to Peter Vincent because I forgot to mention this, after Charlie had failed with the detective, he tried to go to Peter Vincent, and Peter Vincent said, I just got fired from my station because you all are into crazed hockey mask killers.
Killing virgins.
Killing virgins. And nobody wants to see the dreaded vampire killer anymore. So, he thinks it's like, this kid's acting is nuts because he says, oh, I've got a vampire living next door to me. And can you help me kill him? Again, not realizing that he is an actor. Like, just because you're an actor doesn't mean you actually do the thing. That's like saying, oh, well, Robert Downey Jr. must be as smart as Tony Stark is because he played Tony Stark for like 10 years.
Keanu Reeves can kill anybody with a handgun.
Keanu Reeves must know how to kill anyone with a pencil because he did it in that movie I saw. And I get that this is like kid logic here, but you also got to understand that like, the teenagers in this are actually 25.
Yeah. Well, it's that classic movie trope, but yeah, they're supposed to be like 16, 17, 18.
They're 25.
But I do like that seems like it's a very small town, but then the horror host affiliate is in that town. Like if you live in a city, like in Pittsburgh, we had Chili Billy. But chances are you're getting a feed far from, it's not just the TV station down the way. If there's anything in your town, it's probably your local public access, syndicate. Like, but yeah, thankfully for the movie's sake, it's just a couple miles down the road, right to where Peter Vincent is.
Yeah. And it is funny that, like, you've got this famous vampire killer in the movies who does live in the tiny town. But I love Roddy McDowall in this. He is so funny. I mean, he's funny in just about everything he's in. Like, I mean, a lot of people know him from Planet of the Apes movies, but in this one, he really gets to like stretch his comedic chops because his reactions to all this shit is the best part. Like his reactions to like, I'm an actor and I'm being thrown against like a giant fucking werewolf vampire. You know?
The funniest thing is our hero, quote unquote, is the least interesting thing about this movie.
Absolutely. That's why I said I don't like him.
Yeah.
I'll probably rewatch it. Like I rewatched it last night and I'm just like, I really don't like Charlie at all.
Yeah. He's a vessel for the story to go through, for much more interesting people to be there.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of Charlie, since he's losing his shit, Amy and Ed go and try to convince Peter Vincent to, lie, like lie to Charlie so that he thinks that, the vampire stuff's taken care of.
Humor his mental illness.
Humor his mental illness. Just lie to him. So, like, I think Amy gives like a $500 like savings bond. Says, I've got you $500.
Like grandma gave to her, probably.
Yeah, it's like the one grandma gave to her. And says, I've got this savings bond. You can have it. And all you got to do is just pretend to be a vampire killer. Go to Jerry's house. We'll call him up and just pretend that we're going to give him holy water. Just so that Charlie doesn't like go and murder him. Like, that's the plan.
I love that Peter Vincent is so strapped for cash. His solution isn't, well, if your friend's a danger to people in society, you should call like a medical professional. So he's like, yeah, I'll take that money. I'll go lie to your delusional friend.
It's like, wait a minute. So $500 for one night of lying? Okay, sign me up, dude. Like, I'm there for it. So he pretends to be Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer. Charlie has no idea that this is all set up. They go into Jerry's house, and sure enough, like, Jerry is the eye now for Amy, because we get this weird like flash of the fact that one of Jerry's women's from the past looked just like Amy, because he had a painting.
I have traveled the seas of time to find you.
Well, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this has some vibes about Dracula that I'm like, is he ripping off of Dracula here? Because it definitely has got a little bit of those vibes.
I think every vampire thing to some degree rips off Dracula. It's the OG, right? So
it is the OG.
It's set the bar, and then you make your adjustments as needed.
Yeah, you just add a little bit of Dracula. It's like a pinch of Dracula. But yeah, so Jerry drinks the not holy water, because Peter told him, "I'm just gonna give you tap water. Just pretend that it's holy water, and it won't hurt you. Don't worry." And yeah, it proves that Jerry's not a vampire. The only thing though is that there's that pesky mirror thing. Because again, just like a little pinch of Dracula, you have to have a little pinch of the Van Helsing character looking in a mirror and saying, "Oh yeah, no, the vampire casts no reflection."
Which he has the weirdest like little vanity mirror. I know he is a vain man.
It's a cigarette holder.
Yeah. Just has a mirror on it.
It's a cigarette. Here's the thing. There's a reason why. It's a cigarette holder from one of the movies he was in. So it's a prop.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like designed to have the mirror thing. So yeah, he opens it up and sees that, oh yeah, Jerry casts no reflection. He gets weirded the fuck out. And after this, Jerry decides to go on a hunting spree in the most sexy way possible. Like, John, you want to describe like how he takes down Evil Ed? Because it's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, after he's hit up. Well, does he hit up the club before?
He doesn't hit up the club. No, he hits up Evil Ed first.
Yeah.
He hits up Evil Ed first before he hits up der Club.
Well, he turns himself into a fart in an alley. Which apparently
that's a vampire power, John.
Yeah, you can turn yourself into sexy mist. Because Eddie ends up getting stuck in a corner in an alley, nowhere to go. And just like,
what the hell type of small town has buildings that literally curve to nothing?
I know. Well, yeah, just like a 16-year-old in a dead end in West Hollywood, Kevin Spacey, like he's got nowhere to go.
Oh, allegedly.
Allegedly. But yeah, he just like there's this big cloud coming and you're like, what is that? And then like he appears from the cloud and transforms our Eddie to actually become truly evil.
Well, not only that, he does. Like we see Jerry's vampire outfit, and it is so deliciously 80s sexy. Instead of a cape, the man's got a light gray leather trench coat that he flings around like a cape.
His best come hither outfit.
Yeah, like I realized that. I'm like, that dude is using his trench coat like a fucking cape the whole time. Like, but yeah, that's his sexy I'm a vampire in the 80s like thing. It's not Lost Boys leather jackets. It's I don't know what it's I'm trying to think of a company in the 80s that would have had fashionable male. There you go. Fashionable male leather outfit. But yeah, he turns evil Ed into actual evil, and as he uses the whole logic of you won't be picked on anymore. Which okay. That works. I get it.
Which we don't really see that in the movie. That
I think they might have cut a lot of stuff out. Like those sort of things you would have needed to see. And granted, like this movie already is long to begin with. I mean, it's about 106 minutes, which, that's
for this type
long-ish
of movie.
For this type of movie, So I imagine that they might have had a bit more to show, like Evil Ed actually getting bullied and maybe even showing that he's into horror movies, but they might have just cut that out for time's sake.
Yeah.
Because having that in there would have made more sense. Although, like, you get that he doesn't like being called evil because he constantly brings it up to Charlie and Amy, like, don't call me evil. It's like, okay, dude, but like, that's what everyone calls you. Although he always says it with a smile on his face. Did you notice that? He's always got like a smile on his face, like, I can't believe I have to say this line.
Well, most people don't, unless you're that douche, you don't give yourself the nickname. You're given it.
No.
And sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to walk around and say like, hi, my name is Baldy. That's just my name. I call myself that, everyone else calls me that, but like, yeah, you don't do that. But yes, after he kills, transforms Evil Ed into a vampire, he goes to der Club, which it's a thing.
This small town has a television recording studio and a humongous nightclub.
It's club radio. I only know that because I was paying attention to the back of it. I'm like, okay, what's the name of this fucking club? Because who the fuck has a disco 80s club? Like, it literally looks like the one from the Terminator.
Yeah.
Where Sarah Connor gets shot at. Like, it's like that. But it's a disco 80s club full of new age music. Not new age music. New wave music. That's it. Not new age music. It'd be funny if they played Enya at the club. But yeah, it's got new wave music playing. And yes, they go there to hide from Jerry, but unfortunately they realize that's Jerry's happy place is in der Club. Because he's like all into it. He, steals Amy and immediately transforms her into super hot. Like, did you notice that? Like, the minute that he like flings her on the ground and then tosses her up, like her hair suddenly is coiffed and stylized in a way that I'm like, that looks like a professional did it. Not that you like flung your hair and suddenly it's standing up.
She took out the ponytail and took the glasses off, Brian.
I mean, I'm like, what the fuck happened? How did you suddenly get makeup and a nice hairdo from Jerry flinging you?
That's a vampire power too.
I guess that's a vampire power to turn into a fart and style your hair.
Toi, Revlon.
You need some highlights and some blush. Yeah, but he totally like seduces Amy. And even Amy sees that he is absolutely a vampire. And of course, Charlie comes in trying to, defend Amy, but Charlie is weak.
Well, Jerry's also a vampire
because Jerry's a vampire. Like I don't get, again, like Charlie is kind of dumb because he's like, he does things that I'm like, you're going to get killed for. Like I would never purposely go up to a vampire and try to punch them because they're a fucking vampire. He can't even claim ignorance to the fact. He knows what the vampire could do. Why? Because he flung him around his fucking room.
Yeah.
So he's just an idiot. But I get it. He thinks, Peter, not Peter, but that Jerry's going to steal his girlfriend, which he does. Because, that was going to happen.
I mean, steals, maybe kidnaps his girl.
Yeah, kidnaps. Because it is worth mentioning that Amy is a teen. And Jerry's an adult.
100-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that, like, at the time I saw this when I was a kid, I didn't like really put two and two together, but as an adult, I'm like, this is really icky.
I guess the problem, like, they had to target the movie towards teenagers. Those are people who are going to want to see it. But yeah, so you're kind of you're right. It's fucking gross,
It's gross. And then on top of that, here's the other thing that gets really gross about it. And this is the thing, I don't know, John, if you noticed this, but like I compared the way that like Jerry seduces Amy and the way that Charlie did in the beginning, and where Charlie is kind of pushy and, hey, we've been going for a year. Why don't you give me any? And Jerry is very, it's okay. Don't worry. I won't bite a little. Like it makes it feel really gross.
Yeah.
Like really fucking gross. I'm like, let me get this straight. The guy who is seducing the 16-year-old is more respectful than the 16-year-old in the beginning of the film. Is that what the movie is trying to tell me?
He's been around the block a couple of times. He knows how to treat a lady. Until he kills them with his teeth.
Till he kills them with his teeth.
Yeah.
And his dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something that like I noticed it, and I know we're gonna get some people like, Brian, why are you being so fucking woke? I'm like, no, dude, that's a teenager. Sorry. Or at least an actor playing a teenager.
Maybe that's what they hope that we rely on as an audience, knowing that the actor is like 26 years old.
Yes, that might be the reason why. It's like, oh, well, don't worry. The actor is 26. Like, it's not like it's a real teenager, just a pretend one.
Yeah.
But yes, this kind of, kidnapping of Amy and Amy getting bitten by Jerry kind of leads to Charlie going back to Peter. Peter like doesn't want anything to do with it, but he totally believes it now and is convinced to helping because he had his own encounter with a vampire after meeting Jerry, and that was that evil Ed tried to kill him. We get our first like use of crucifix, and there are many uses of crucifixes in this movie. But this one we get the classic crucifix burnt on the forehead trick, which is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah. Is this trying to remember, because this gets a little cluttered near the end. Is this where he turns into a wolf?
Not yet.
Okay.
This is right after Jerry turned.
Right.
You are right. Yeah. You are right. The basically once we get done with Club Radio, the movie gets a little like all over the place. And that is something that I would love to ask Tom Holland, like, what's the deal with like structure towards the end, buddy? As it is a little bit of a mess.
He's sitting there with a tall boy and smoking his typewriter. Gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Peter is convinced that vampires are real at this point, and he decides to help Charlie rescue Amy, because he's Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer. And this leads to the confrontation in which we get the opener of the film, basically the name of the film, Welcome to Fright Night. Because Jerry's, basically saying like, I'm going to fucking kill both of you at this point.
Yeah.
And we get the use of the crucifix again at this point. And this is the moment, and I'm curious, John, your thoughts on this. In every vampire movie, the crucifix always works. And I think this is like the first time that I can remember where the crucifix is tied to belief.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the 80s, baby.
This is the 80s, baby.
I think like if somebody's carrying a cross, no matter what, in other movies that they absolutely do have faith. And this is one of the first times, if maybe the first time, that there is a universe where vampires exist in fiction. So it's like, oh, well, I got to use a cross. Well, you might not be somebody, of the Christian faith. So I can understand that. Yeah. Like it means nothing if you're not wielding the power of God behind it.
Well, I just find it funny because in every single movie up to this point, it didn't matter if you believed or not. You know what I mean? Like think about every vampire movie prior to Fright Night. It was just a thing. If you grab two sticks, if I grab two pens here, if I grab them and I put them up, boom,
Yeah.
And you didn't have to believe, right? Like you didn't have to. It was just a thing where that's your ultimate, that wards off vampires. But this movie kind of breaks the mold a bit and says that, no, you actually have to have faith. And obviously it applies to stronger vampires, right? Like it's not like the little goons like Evil Ed. Don't worry, anything will work on them. But a vampire that's as strong as Jerry is, you have to have absolute faith in the crucifix for it to actually work.
Which all this says is Christianity is the ever correct thing in this world. Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and if you don't believe in that, then you're part of the evil. And vampires are evil because they don't follow Jesus. What could that possibly mean?
Yeah, I wonder if you threw a Star of David up, would that work?
Yeah, well,
you have to have faith. Oh, I do.
Check out
on
our
the back holidays.
Catalog. Yeah, check out our back catalog on Universal Monster Movies, and we'll discuss the underlying anti-Semitism that comes in with vampires.
Just a smidge there.
And that's why for so many years it's been, the good Catholic faith will save you from vampires. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But ultimately, the failure of Peter Vincent's faith in the cross causes them to get split up, where Peter ends up going back to Charlie's house. And Charlie ends up getting did he get like thrown into the room with Amy?
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah,
I love that Peter just fucking hightail.
I'm gonna
go use the phone.
He's like, screw this shit.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm just gonna go use the telephone. I'm doing good. Yeah,
you're doing great, Charlie. Have fun. Don't get killed. But yeah, he ends up going back to Charlie's house, and this is where we see Evil Ed now wolfing out.
Yeah, there we go.
And we get one of the, I gotta say this, like the makeup in this movie is really good, but man, I miss 80s, KY jelly prosthetics, like I really miss that because yes, it's cheesy. I don't give a flying fuck. It's awesome the way it looks. Peter Vincent basically impales Evil Ed through his chest because he turns into a actual fucking wolf And by being impaled, we get a very long, drawn out transformation back into human Ed, where we see like the jiggling and all of the KY jelly and all that fun stuff as a werewolf. And he's slowly getting transformed back to human. So you're getting like these different stages. And man, I love that shit so much.
You know who probably doesn't miss those type of effects, O'Brien?
Who?
Actors. Do you know how long that, I don't know his name, but Eddie, how long he was in makeup?
Stephen Jeffries.
Yeah. 13 hours.
He was in makeup for 13 hours.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, but here's the thing. I get that. But imagine if you did that with CGI. Would you think it would be as effective as it is? Yeah. No. So like, don't get me wrong. I understand that the actors can't stand that shit. I also look at it as those are the moments that are gonna be memorable.
Yeah.
That you're gonna remember for decades after the fact. And it's still a thing where like all the movies that I remember from the 80s that had those sort of effects, even if they weren't 100% great, they still stuck with you. But we get this awesome transformation back into, evil Ed. And Peter decides, okay, yeah, I'm going to try to go rescue Charlie because I've killed one vampire. Why not kill another one? I love how he talks himself up. Like he says, I'm Peter Vincent, vampire killer. He's walking towards the house, which I love the fact the house is slowly getting more and more covered in fog. Did you notice that?
Well, with the precipitation, the dew index.
Yeah. But I love how he looks over to the house. He's just like, oh shit, yeah, the house is fucking scary. It's covered with more fog now than before. like it's only 3:00 in the morning, but somehow it's leaching fog everywhere.
And all this leads to, and if I'm skipping like any like major details from the finale, we can go back. But like all this leads to this classic vampire thing where even though he's got as many clocks as Doc Brown, loses fucking track of time. And he's just like
he does.
Like, I'll fuck you up now because like a window is smashed, and all of a sudden like sunlight comes in. He's like, what the fuck is that? Listen, burning?
Jerry has had a very long night. Okay? He's had a very long night. He was at the club. Okay, he was at the club, and on top of that,
yeah,
he was committing statutory rape. And whatever statutory vampire transformation is.
Sounds like Bill Cosby in '87.
Yeah. Okay. He on top of that is having to deal with his little shithead who lives next door to him, who's trying to kill him, trying to steal his new girl, who's really just a child. And on top of that, he's constantly being pushed away by people with crucifixes. Okay, because Charlie does believe and it does work for him. So like every moment of every time he's being pushed away by fucking crucifixes, can't get into his fucking house. His I forgot to mention this. His familiar melts in front of him.
Oh yeah, this gets confusing. So
it's just been a long night for Jerry.
Yeah, as we convince his what we think is a familiar, which is again just a human being who's under the control of the vampire, is just that. Peter Vincent just shoots him in the fucking head. Just cold blood.
I love John, how he's like, stop. I will shoot. Don't do it. I mean it. I'll shoot you.
Meanwhile, he's walking up like the T-1000, like, yes. Bring it. Yeah.
He's like, okay, go and do it, dude.
Shoots him in the head. It's like, well, that's it. That's all we'll see of him. But no, the motherfucker gets back up like Judge Doom and Roger Rabbit, shakes it off, comes back up for more. But eventually he gets impaled in the chest. But unlike a vampire, he basically turns into like Swamp Thing having diarrhea.
Into goo.
Yeah, just turns into all this goop. And I'm like, what the fuck? What is he supposed to be?
Yeah. I it's still a thing where, and I don't get me wrong, like I looked up online. I was like, what the fuck is Billy Cole? Like, you literally could type in Google, what the fuck is Billy Cole? And you'll get like wikis about it. You'll get articles about it. Like some have said that he is a half vampire. Like I'm like, oh, okay.
Like Blade?
Well, yeah, no, yeah, like Blade, but like he's a daywalker. But because clearly getting impaled through the chest is what killed him.
Yeah.
Right. So like that would make him kind of a vampire, but could he be a revenant or a wraith or a zombie or I don't know, like a ghoul? Like it's never fully explained. And the movie's not really supposed to do that. Like I get that it's not supposed to, but it's a very weird way that this vampire, whatever the fuck he is, dies. Because yeah, it's just strange.
You know, they had the Ghostbusters team working, special effects team working on this. They're like, we had some slime left over. Yeah.
I've got leftover slime. Do you guys want some?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This Ghostbusters 2 thing's never going to get fucking made. You know, they promised it, but you know, 8 years later, still nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy Cole gets melted. And again, amazing 1980s effects. Love the melting effect. And yeah, Jerry forgot how time works because he's kind of pushed to shove. Forgets that clocks are happening. Amy's totally transformed into a vampire trying to bite Charlie, even though Amy looks real fucking hot. And you're just like, do we have to change her back?
Well, you know she's got some fake titties, right?
I figured as much.
Yeah, they create her a prosthetic bust for her. When she goes to conventions, she brings her fake tits with her.
No way.
Yeah, and she tells people like she's not wearing them around the table, but she's like, go ahead and grab them.
Amanda Bierce is hilarious. Like I always liked her and Married with Children. But that is funny to know that she still she has a sense of humor about that. But yeah, you can clearly tell that is not her. But yeah, she tries to kill Charlie. And because the sun comes out, Jerry like escapes to his coffin in the basement, and we get the classic like, okay, we've got to go get Jerry, stab him through the heart. You find out that stabbing Jerry through the heart doesn't fucking work. Which again,
Tommy's just making up all his own goddamn rules.
He's just making up his own rules.
Yeah.
Just making up his own rules. So stabbing Jerry through the heart doesn't work, but sunlight sure as hell does. And he gets nuked the fuck.
Which
he does.
Yeah, you'd think like, okay, he has no choice but to go to his coffin, and he's just hoping maybe they'll go away. I don't know. But if they open it up, he's gonna strike, fight or flight. It's going to be the fight part of it. But maybe they should have thought, hey, wait, this is just a residential house. This isn't, the bottom, cellar of a Victorian mansion in Eastern Europe. Let's just crack all the windows open before we open this son bitch. But yeah, obviously we need drama for the end of it. So they got to start cracking windows left and right, just letting in beacons of light hitting them here and there, so we can have some drama at the end.
Yeah, and Jerry gets turned into a crispy critter and explodes, which is classic 80s vampire death right there.
Here's a fun fact. Like the final effect we see of him was something left over from Ghostbusters that they didn't need. And so they just...
No way.
Here. Yeah.
No way. So there was a lot of crossover with Ghostbusters is what you're saying.
Yeah, they probably came and said, hey, we just finished this Ghostbusters project. We got a ton of like props and goop and
yeah.
what do you want?
We've got a ton of props and goop.
Yeah.
All the slime. We've got all of it is whatever you want. But yeah, that's Fright Night. That's the end of it. After all that happens, Charlie and Amy make out in bed, and we get last little glimpse of hey, there might be a sequel, with some glowing red eyes and Evil Ed saying, "Oh, you're so cool, Brewster."
Yeah, I don't think...
Which there was a sequel.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that like Tom Holland meant that to be a sequel. But I think it's just one of those, you always want to end on that last little spook of a horror movie, you know, like, whoa, you know, he's still around. Like it gives you the shivers right as the credits roll with the Angel as the centerfold guy singing the song about Fright Night.
Yeah. But again, I love Fright Night. It's one of my go-to Halloween movies. Like it's one I always put on around this time of the year. This one, Night of the Demons, just they go together so well. But with that said, John, you want to get some reviews?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So let's go to our reviews. For those of you who do not know, review time is when I go ahead and pull reviews off of Letterboxd and we talk about them and basically just riff on them. Like that's pretty much it. So, John, ready for the reviews?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's go to review number 1. The vampire is a pedophile.
Yeah. We kind of hit on that. I mean,
yes.
See, I don't think vampires are human scruples. So I'm not surprised that he would be, because what does he care? You know, because are we to believe that he wants to turn her into his bride, or is he just want to just eat her and decapitate her like he's done all the hookers before?
I think he wants to turn her into his bride, like for 2 reasons. One, he is clearly doing the whole Dracula thing where he thinks like Amy is the reincarnation of whoever the fuck is in that painting. Okay.
Yeah.
And 2, he wants to stick it to Charlie. Like, I'm going to eat your bitch and I'm going to turn her into my bride.
And you know
like,
what?
He wants to do both.
Well, I'm at it. I just might fuck your mom.
Yeah. Well, I just might rip your mom's head off too. Like, you're just going to do that. Like, he really has it out for Charlie, which, to be fair, Charlie's an idiot. I hate him. But that's the reason why. But I think there is something to be thinking about. Like, do vampires see things through that lens, right? I mean, you think about it, the fact that like if we go back to olden times, you know, it wasn't unusual to have a bride who was, say, 15 or 16.
Right.
You know, if we go back to like 1700s, 1800s, that wasn't unusual. It's only now, modern times, that we like have decided that, yeah, no, those are children. Like,
I will sell you my 13-year-old daughter for 2 goats and a sack of steel-cut oats.
It's like, you, sir, are old money, and I am new money, and you're old money. Your only thing you have left to leverage is your daughter. So marry into my family so that your money can be left afloat. That sort of thing.
She's 14 and not pregnant. What do you want to just to grow an old bag, lady? Look,
yeah.
You let my son knock her up and I'll give you 4 acres.
4 acres. Whoa, that's a steal. Yeah, no, gross. But yes, I agree with this reviewer. Yes, he is a pedophile. All right, review number 2. This is a long one.
Oh boy.
Okay. And this says this review may contain spoilers. Well, don't worry, we already finished it.
Yeah.
All right. This movie fucking blows. Sure, some of the practical effects are sick as hell, and it has gay vampires. That doesn't change the fact that the protagonist that we're supposed to be rooting for is a whiny asshole who pressures his poor girlfriend into sex for no reason. Literally, how is that supposed to be a goddamn likable trait? Not to mention that they made the gay vampire guy also super rapey toward her for no reason. They also only let Amy be a cool-ass vampire for like 30 seconds before changing her back for no reason. This person really likes to say no reason for no reason. They should remake this movie so that she stays a vampire and fucking rips everyone to shreds as revenge and then continues to stay as a badass vampire lady. I'd watch that 100 times over before ever watching this shit-ass film again. None of the characters were even marginally likable. Wow.
There's so much to unpack there.
Let's unpack that.
Well, the main thing that he brought up is that she only gets to be a vampire for like 30 seconds and like is only cool for that bit. Like she's evil at that point.
Yeah.
Like uncontrollable evil.
You don't want her to stay a vampire. Like that's the whole point of the third act is we're trying to rescue her.
And she never consented to being a vampire.
Because if we look at the previous review, she's a child.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay. I don't. There's a lot there that I'm just like, were we watching two different movies? But like the one thing about Charlie being an asshole, I do completely agree with this reviewer. He is an asshole. He's really unlikable. And yes, he is pressuring his girlfriend into sex.
Well, I think it's interesting. He said pressuring his girlfriend into sex for no reason. Is there ever a reason to pressure someone into sex?
I mean, the reason is very clear.
The bomb's going to go off if I don't ejaculate.
Yeah. I mean, the reason is very clear. He's a horny teenage boy.
Yeah. And
that's it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right at all. But yes, I mean, I do agree that part makes him unlikable right off the get-go.
And we got to remember, this movie came out before the Challenger exploded, okay? Like, this is a long time ago.
Yes. Yeah. The 80s were very different. Like, and I would wager money that this person is probably also very young because they might not understand that. The 80s were a very different time, that the values that we have now, especially towards consent, were not there.
And to be very clear, we're not saying that, like, that should just be forgiven. It should just be understood that, you know, you're going to see in Goldfinger, you know, James Bond say, oh, you know, head out, this is man talk, and smack her in the ass. And it's like, we're not saying that's okay, but we're saying it was 1964, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
People were different then, values were different then.
Yes.
What was acceptable was different then, and you got to kind of roll with that. You can cringe because, you know, I mean,
yeah. I mean, as I said, I cringed. I was just like, ooh, like that's makes me not like him a whole lot. But not finding no likable characters. Wrong. Peter Vincent is fucking likable.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Great Vampire Killer. He's awesome in this movie. I love him. Not likable. Come on, man. All right, let's go to review number 3. Taking notes. Okay, so movie monster can seduce and assault a high school kid. Movie monster cannot outwit, overpower, overcome a meek high school kid whom the movie introduces as a struggling student with no recognizable, redeeming character qualities, and that will make a beloved horror film.
Look, just because he's not good at trigonometry has nothing to do with why the vampire can't overcome him. But
that is true.
It's basically, the premise is a high school kid finds a vampire next door, has to solve the problem. Like, it's one of those join the premise or not. And clearly this person was like, yeah, I can't buy in, because they're not wrong. Like, he could have just used his vampire hypnosis on him, had him stand there and then just rip his throat out. But then we don't really have a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very, there is a thing where, especially with movies like this, where you really have to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's a vampire living next door from you and the movie's called Fright Night should pretty much suspend disbelief right off the get-go. Like, if you see that poster and you go, why is it not based in reality? I think I'm not going to go see that. Like, you should know that. Okay. This isn't a documentary. It's a fictional horror film. So just get on board.
But a lot of it too is, you know, is him kind of playing with his food, is the way I would describe it. Like, yeah, he's just fucking, like, he can kill him anytime he wants, but then because he hesitates, he ends up, you know, having to masturbate. Yeah. He ends up screwed because, he's just kind of fucking around because he does have all the power, but then it ends up screwing him in the end.
It's the hubris of Jerry Dandridge that does him in, right? Like that's it. Is because this meek high school student poses no threat to him, is just as you say, he's just playing his food, he's just fucking with him, and that's what kills him. That's what gets him in.
Because like early before they get to the club, like every time they try to run away from him, they turn around, he's right there again. He's just he's messing with them, like ha ha ha. Yeah, I'll always just reappear right in front of you.
Yeah. All right, let's go to review number 4. I'm not allowing 1985 as an excuse. This had the worst acting, and Evil Ed made me want to leave my own house. Enjoy the 80s special effects, but they aren't saving it. I love a trashy horror, but 107 minutes felt like 107 days. Never again. Ouch.
I don't know if I agree with that with the acting. I mean, maybe our lead, Brian, you and I mentioned that he's a little flat. Although I love
Charlie.
him. Yeah.
Charlie. Yeah, he kind of sucks.
But I did love him in Herman's Head. That show got canceled.
Oh shit! Yeah, he was in Herman's Head. I forgot about that one. Yeah. That's a gem from the early 90s right there.
But when you got Prince Humperdinck and then Cornelius in this movie, you can't say the acting's not good. Come on now.
No, you can't. No, I mean the acting is as good as a 1985 movie about vampires living next door to a teenage boy. That's it. I mean, I don't think, and maybe this is just me, but I don't think every movie that came from this time period has to have the best fucking acting. Sometimes it's okay if it's just mediocre, right? And honestly, I think if you had someone who was a really good actor in this, they would stick out like a sore fucking thumb in a movie like this.
Well, the actors know what kind of movie they're making. That would be like watching Kingpin and go, boy, Bill Murray sure is over the top.
Yeah.
It's well, yeah.
Well, the movie Kingpin, and he's supposed to be over the top.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I liked him in his dramatic roles. Why doesn't he do that? It's like, okay. Did you know that he was a comedic actor for a very long time? Like, that's what he did. That's how he made his money. But okay, sure. Like, I mean, Lost in Translation's great. Not going to say it isn't, but it's a different movie altogether. Yeah, I don't get why you had to have people being like, oh, well, the acting shit. And I don't think it's that long. I think the ending, the third act is a little convoluted. I will give that. It makes it feel long.
I think the sheer fact that Peter Vincent just runs out of the house to go use the telephone across the street. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
Why are you doing that?
We really didn't know how to like take care of the Eddie situation. We didn't know how to get Peter out of the seat, so he just runs away. So yeah, it gets a little messy there.
But like that moment there, it does stretch out the film. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying is like, and I think that's where this reviewer is coming from, and I will give them that credit. Is yes, the minute Peter Vincent runs out of the fucking house, this movie tacks on about a good 20 minutes that I don't know if they need to be there.
Yeah,
you know. And I almost think it's like a thing like, well, we spent so much time, Stephen Jeffries had to be in that damn fucking makeup for 13 hours. We're going to show that shit, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense to why it's there, But yeah, that's fucking Fright Night, folks. John, final thoughts on this movie?
I do think it's interesting. I think it's great 80s cheese. But what I do find interesting is that this was, and usually there's a reason for it. One movie becomes very popular and there's a bunch of copycats like Scream, gave way to Urban Legend. I Know What You Did Last Night, Valentine, etc. But I think could be almost considered some kind of weird coincidence that the 80s brought on the ironic hip / darkly funny vampire movie, because around this time we have Lost Boys, obviously, Monster Squad, Once Bitten, My Best Friend's a Vampire, Vampire's Kiss, like all these kind of, I guess, like it's the new generation, baby, and we're gonna be more of an ironic twist and take on the vampire genre, that has been around since, well before film, but the beginning of film. And so I think it's an interesting time in lexicon of film, where we have these kind of like ironically hip new gen, which is funny to say for 40 years ago, vampire flicks of this time. So I love it. And I love it for all of its beautiful imperfections, as John Legend would say. And I do think it's interesting the time frame which came out, which were all these other vampire flicks coming out.
I also agree with you that these other vampire flicks were in essence doing the meta stuff to the 60s and 70s and 50s vampire films, like The Hammer, The Amicus, all of those old gothic horror movies that were all centered on vampires. Like I'm talking about like, Dracula 1972, or all of the it's really all the Hammer ones, the ones where where Christopher Lee is Dracula, and all the knockoffs to those Dracula films. It's making fun of those in a way that is tongue in cheek, but I think there is a difference between, say, like Lost Boys and this film, whereas Lost Boys is kind of doing that, but it is being way more on the horror side, where Fright Night manages to make this, I would call it almost this dividing line between Lost Boys and, say, like My Best Friend's a Vampire, which I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another one of my favorite like 80s vampire movies that's not scary at all, and just so fucking funny. That one and Once Bitten are great. But yeah, it's like you've got cheesy, funny, not scary vampires, and then you've got like, holy fucking shit, it's Kiefer Sutherland ripping people's throats out,
And well, shortly after this too, we have, I think it's 1990, but Buffy the Vampire Slayer, in his theater. So yeah,
it's 92. That was
92. Okay, yeah, but it's like, well, what if like vampires hit the MTV generation?
Yeah. But it's kind of doing what then happened in the mid 90s to the slasher genre. That, let's be honest here, people, if they wanted something scary in the 80s, they were going to see slasher films. They were going to see Freddy and Jason and, Leatherface and his many incarnations, because there were a couple sequels that came out around that time. So it's like they were focusing on that. And vampires were really bottom of the barrel. They were the thing to be made fun of. And movies like Fright Night and, My Best Friend's a Vampire, and even Lost Boys. And even Near Dark, which is another one that is Near kind Dark, of, I put that in more the Lost Boys camp.
Yeah.
It's not funny, but it's definitely horror. But they kind of, revitalized the vampire film for, yes, the 80s generation in a way that was funny and scary at the same time. So great talk. Yeah. Definitely check out Fright Night. I found this on Tubi, by the way, for free. So I think you can watch that one and the remake for free. So
it's always an interesting comparison too, because I mean the remake doesn't hold a candle, but it's always kind of fun to see, many moons later how they approached, doing it.
And if you wanted to see McLovin as Evil Ed, that's the remake. Remake will give you that.
Which that tracks. Yeah.
That tracks. Yes. McLovin, you're gonna be the nerdy Evil Ed character. Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. But John, where can they find you at on the internet?
Oh, see, the Facebooks, the Instagrammers, and you could find me over at JDubs Video Nasties. I've got the Ghostbusters dropping probably by the time this is out, that'll be out. It's seconds from being done. And if you like the more intellectual side of things from my end, I do have an interview with a psychologist who wrote a book about understanding the real psychological natures behind some of your favorite movie monsters, everything from the Wolfman up to Freddy Krueger and Hannibal Lecter and all that. It was a great talk. So I just will be placing that together shortly thereafter.
Awesome. Well, of course, if you have loved this episode, please do me a favor and share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your favorite bloodsucker. And of course, if you want to follow our podcast, you can follow us on your favorite podcaster app of choice by going to cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. You can do that, and you can press all the buttons that are right there and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, hey, do me a favor and give us a like, give us a subscribe, and hit the little bell for notifications. That stuff really helps us out a lot. And with that said, we will see you next time.
Oh, all dear listeners out there, I really want to suck your blood.